One thing I wanted to ask you both are about the regulatory concerns surrounding automation. And we had a great registrant question from John. Does the use of AI-based automation currently meet FDA requirements for best GMP practices? Do either of you have an answer for John there?
I don't. I've luckily been pretty embedded into the research space, so I don't know that I have. With how novel it is, I can't imagine there would be a lot. I guess the one thing I will say is just that there has been a really big push by vendors to make software in general more compliant because of the tremendous value in the research side. Obviously it's been spilling over a bit into more of the manufacturing GMP space. So maybe versions, but I guess I'm curious if TJ has a better experience there.
Yeah, in our regulatory experience of late, that it wasn't a central question, so I can't really speak to it at length. Often, though, the more kind of reproducible, straightforward, hardwired these steps are, then the less there's concern about variance. So I think there's opportunities there, but this is kind of more of a, if you use them in the GMP setting or use them in a few different places. We've talked a good bit about them in the preclinical steps or the discovery step, even more likely, where it's probably less of a relevant question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that prompts my other question I had here, which is, from a regulatory perspective, to what degree should you be engaging with the FDA, do you guys think, when it comes to adopting automation and kind of building it into your operations?
Put TJ
I could start off with it. We certainly want to be very engaged with the regulatory agency and groups in general. We're working to put standards in place for gene editing and gene therapy. And so I think that kind of blanket goes across this aspect as well. And I think that what one wants to do is, as per my previous comment, is really make your suggestions and look at how it's really improved your reproducibility, your quality, your maybe even homogeneity and some other aspects. And so therefore you've got the documentation and you can support your choices, both for automation, the use of computational means or other aspects. So I think that it's just part of this kind of general trend to make sure that you're actively engaging the regulatory agencies.
Thanks, TJ. Matt, anything to add to that?
No, not really. Like I said, luckily I haven't had to work too much in that space. The few times that I have, I think, all the benefits that show in research kind of go double in, the more regulatory GMP space. We've seen, manufacturing plants that, are operating on triple shifts due to, limitation of devices or hardware or just, production needs. So, I think being able to have all the same benefits of, reducing burnout, like TJ mentioned, the quality and integrity of the product and whatnot. And I think with it being more enabled by vendors as a trend, it should be much easier to push it through. So it's definitely a huge area that I think can and maybe even should be within scope for lab automation.